Hello, fellow pen lovers and stationery enthusiasts. It's Christy here, Snarky Wordsworth over on Instagram and Reddit. And today, I'm going to be talking just a little bit about another gem from Bart over at Zodiac Pen Company. So this model is his Cancer. So I have a number of pens from Bart, and I can honestly say they are some of my favorite pens in my whole collection. They're just really, really well designed and incredibly well put together. They're always so comfortable, and I will probably continue to shop with him just because I really do love the way he makes his pens. But with this model, it's got quite an interesting design. So you've got the flat finials, which I think does give it a really kind of sleek modern look. But what I find really interesting is just this tiny little nip in at where the cap meets the body. And then without the cap, you can see a little bit more. And that curvature is just so interesting to me and super comfortable to hold in the hand. Now, rewind a little bit. I have been really interested in pens that kind of have this line to them for a while now. I think the first time I really noticed any was on a post on Instagram from Blue Static Pens. She was doing this beautiful display of her writing skills. She has gorgeous penmanship. And the penmanship was done with a scribo. Now, I think scribos are absolutely gorgeous. And I put one on my wish list immediately, but I finally got to put one in my hand, I think at last year's San Francisco Pen Show, and I discovered that the step that is on the scribo is just a little too much for me. If you follow this channel, you know I'm really persnickety about that. I hate really pronounced steps. And if you notice, there is virtually no step whatsoever. And these threads are so smooth, not sharp at all. And so whether you have a smaller hand like mine, or if you have a bigger hand and you have thumbs that like to sort of ride down or across the threads on a section, you won't be bothered, which is really nice. No step, nice like smooth threads, and it just feels really good in the hand. I'll also say that the section diameter is pretty comparable to an Esterbrook's Esty, so if you like the Esty grip, I think you'll really like this too. And so while we're talking about that, let's go ahead and get to some specifics about the size and everything of this particular pen. Okay, now let's get into the nitty-gritty and some of the specs for this one. So when I took a look at the website, I found the specs to be just a hair different, not a lot, quite negligible, but I figured I'd just share. So mine, when capped, is about 5 inches and a quarter. The website, it lists them at about 5.5 inches capped, and I think a quarter of an inch is pretty close, especially with a bespoke pen. Uncapped, mine is just a dash over 5 inches, and the web lists it at 5 inches and 3/8. So again, really pretty minimal difference. The thread diameter is the same, 14 millimeters. The section diameter was the same, 11.3 millimeters, and it did not list the weight. When I filled the converter and then weighed it on my scale, it ended up being 27 grams. So really solid weight that I think most of my pens, or my bespoke pens anyway, seem to fall in line with that. So yeah, if you are looking for details like that, those are the ones for my particular pen. Now, I had this commissioned specifically for this colorway. This blank is from Turnt Pen Co. It is their brown sugar milk tea blank. And I just think this thing is stunning. If you happen to like earthy, warm tones, this blank is just crazy. So you've got creams, you've got golds, oranges, browns, some glitter in there. And I mean, it's really what the name would imply. If you happen to be a boba milk tea person, this absolutely evokes that feeling. So when I received it, I was just absolutely thrilled. It's just so pretty. Like, I love this like pocket of just sort of pure tea tone that like flows. I don't know. I just really, really like the look of this pen. So when you add that to the way that it fits, the way that it feels, the weight of it and everything, this is just a great, great pen. So let's do a quick little writing sample. So there you see, really, really smooth writer, just glides across the page. Again, I love the nibs that come out of Zodiac Pen Company. Bart does not claim to be a nibsmith at all. I actually asked him at one point, but out of the box, his pens are tuned so well. I mean, I've had like sailors that I had to have like looked at by someone out of the box and that were supposedly brand new. So I am always pleased when I get a bespoke pen that just writes like butter. It's fantastic. His are some of the only pens I have that I don't regularly get ground to a particular point, just because they're tuned so very, very well. This is just a standard Yovo 6, and yeah, I just really love it. It works with, I don't know that you can see the glitter. Maybe you can. Hold on one second. So just, no, you don't want to focus. There we go. Yeah, I don't think you can see the glitter very well, but I do have a shimmer ink in here and no problems whatsoever. Even in some really good nibs, you'll sometimes feel a little bit of that grab when you have a shimmer ink in it, and I never feel anything problematic, at least not with like some of the standard shimmers that I do use. And again, just the design of this thing, so nice. See, yeah, I really do love the way this pen feels. All right, so I just want to do a really quick size comparison, just so you can kind of get an idea of how this one measures up to some other popular designs. And I wanted to start with how it compares to the other Zodiac Pen Company models in my collection. So of course, this is the Cancer model, and this is the Virgo. And you can see mine in my collection, the Virgo is like pretty close to the same size. It might be just a tiny bit longer, but it's incredibly hard to tell. They're pretty much the exact same size. But yeah, and then there's the Sagittarius, which definitely is a bit longer. So hopefully that is like a quick and easy visual. And then let's just do a roundup of several other big name brand pens compared to the Cancer. Okay, here we have the Zodiac Pen Company Cancer and how it measures out compared to a number of other pen company models. This one over here is the Esterbrook Esty. Again, this is the Zodiac Pen Company Sagittarius. This one is the Lamy 2000, Twisby Eco, Pilot Vanishing Point, Zodiac Pen Company Virgo, Sailor Pro Gear, Pelican M400, and the Kaweco Brass. And you can see when it's capped, it kind of falls right around the center of these different lengths, but uncapped, things kind of get a little bit more fuzzy. So once I uncap all the pens and either post or don't post, depending on how I will actually write with the pen, the lengths definitely switch around a little bit. So one more time, Esterbrook Esty, Zodiac Pen Company Sagittarius, Lamy 2000, Twisby Eco, Pilot Vanishing Point, Zodiac Pen Company Cancer, Zodiac Pen Company Virgo, Sailor Pro Gear, Pelican M400, and Kaweco Sport. So again, the lengths definitely do swap around quite a bit. But hopefully that will give you a little bit of an idea how the Zodiac Pen Company's Cancer model does measure up in some of those more mainstream pen comparisons. So this has been my review of the Zodiac Pen Company's Cancer model. Too long, didn't watch the whole thing. I love it. Highly recommended, especially if you have been looking for a pen with this kind of curvature, but the Scribo was maybe a little too much of a step for you. Again, no step. But yeah, love it, and definitely think other people will too. If you happen to have any questions about this pen, whether it be about the bespoke pen process, or if you just want to know other details about this particular model, please feel free to pop those into the comments. If you happen to have this model and you want to share your thoughts, or if you have other experiences with Zodiac, definitely pop those in the comments as well. Or maybe you just want to have a conversation. I love doing that. That's kind of the whole point of being part of this community. It really is so fun to interact with other fans. If this video has in fact been entertaining, interesting, useful, whatever, please do consider giving it a thumbs up or potentially even subscribe to the channel. So as always, thank you so much for joining me. If you've made it to the end of this video, you are everything that is awesome. Again, thanks for joining me, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye-bye.